Love it or hate it, some of the biggest celebrity downfalls in the 21st century come from athletes, specifically footballers, champions of the world's biggest sport. While it's not exactly clear why so many ballers have such erratic, chaotic financial journeys, one thing's for sure: with great wealth comes great risk. And these stars, once heroes of their teams, just fell prey to a culture of overconsumption and unnecessary opulence. Our video today will take you through the ups and downs of our favourite football legends from all over the world. Are you ready? Let's start. Celestine Babayaro was one of the most reliable left-backs of his era. He was quick, composed, and always up for a battle down the flank. Football fans know him as the star of both Chelsea and the Nigerian national team, but he made his mark early at Anderlecht. It was after this that he earned a move to Chelsea in '97, where he slotted seamlessly into the back line that was starting to take itself seriously. Babayaro was a regular for Nigeria, representing the Super Eagles in multiple AFCONs and World Cup. He was also part of that iconic gold medal winning squad at the 1996 Olympics. He was once living the dream, earning great and enjoying the perks of pro football. Things changed after Babayaro hung up his shoes. He, like many ex-pros, struggled with life off the pitch. He reportedly burned through a fortune with his lifestyle and sank large sums into his LA move, property maintenance and health problems. So, by 2011, he was declared bankrupt in a London court. He'd drained his decade-long Premier League level earnings. The exact amount he lost is unknown, but the word is, it's a hefty sum. Keith Gillespie was one of the sharpest wingers Northern Ireland ever produced. He came through the ranks at Manchester United in the early 90s, but it was going to Newcastle, part of the deal that brought Andy Cole to Old Trafford, where he took off. Under Kevin Keegan, Gillespie became a key cog in that all-action entertainers side that played some of the most exciting football the Premier League's seen. He went on to have solid spells at Blackburn and Leicester, earning millions over a career that should have set him up for life. But off the pitch, Gillespie was fighting a losing battle. A crippling gambling addiction saw him burn through more than £7 million, his entire fortune, on betting slips, casinos and reckless decisions. By 2010, he was bankrupt. There was no scandal, no headlines, just a slow, devastating collapse. Gillespie later opened up about it all in his brutally honest book, How Not to Be a Football Millionaire, a title that says it all. His story is a warning for every young baller who thinks that money will last forever. Paul Merson was pure Premier League box office in the 90s. A gifted playmaker with vision, touch and a knack for big moments. He came through Arsenal's ranks and became a fan favourite at Highbury. He helped the Gunners to 2 First Division titles, an FA Cup and a League Cup, before later turning out for Middlesbrough, Aston Villa and Portsmouth. Merson was earning serious money and pulling strings in midfield like few others. But off the pitch, it was chaos. Merson battled gambling, alcohol and cocaine addictions, all of which cost him dearly, not just in career momentum, but in cold, hard cash. He admitted to losing over £7 million, blown on betting slips, booze and bad decisions. In the mid-2000s, it all came to a head. He hit rock bottom, facing divorce, depression and complete financial collapse. What makes Merson's story different is the comeback. He's now a respected Sky Sports pundit, and he's been frank about his battles in documentaries and interviews. Lucas Neal was once the poster boy for Australian football, their Iron Man at the back. A tough, no-nonsense defender, he made his name in the dozen or so years he spent in English football, with long spells at Millwall, Blackburn and West Ham. He eventually captained the Socceroos and led them at 2 World Cups as one of the most reliable defenders of the Premier League. Neil was earning £40,000 a week and had stints in the UAE, Turkey and even Asia, chasing big paydays late in his career. In retirement, however, Neil saw everything fall apart. Despite reportedly banking over £35 million across his career, Neil was declared bankrupt in 2016. What happened? Court documents showed that he had no cash, no property, and debts across Australia, England and Spain. It was a mix of bad investments, legal disputes and alleged mismanagement of funds, some of which involved close personal relationships, that did him in. It was a slow, hidden financial downfall that caught everyone off guard. Next up we have Brad Friedel, the American shot stopper. He built a rock-solid career with Liverpool, Blackburn, Aston Villa and Spurs, racking up over 450 top-flight appearances. Known for his consistency and incredible reflexes, Friedel once held the record for the most consecutive Premier League starts, 310 games. He was a model pro, respected across England and back home in the States. And then earning upwards of £40,000 a week during his career. It was a shock when Friedel filed for bankruptcy in 2011, citing debts of around $5 million. He'd invested heavily in a massive football academy project in Ohio, meant to develop US talent and double as a training hub. Ambitious? Definitely, but it became a financial black hole. The dream didn't match the revenue. Legal fees, missed loan payments and operating costs piled up until Friedel had to wave the white flag. He bounced back by moving into coaching and punditry, including a stint with Spurs' youth setup. But his story is a warning. Even the safest hands on the pitch can drop the ball off it. Emmanuel Weboe's story might be one of the most heartbreaking in football. The Ivory Coast fullback made his name at Arsenal, rising in popularity among its fans under Arsene Wenger during the mid-2000s. Weboe played a big part in the Gunners' 2006 Champions League run, always up for a face-off down the right flank. He later enjoyed success at Galatasaray, winning multiple league titles. He was reportedly earning £2 million a year while he was at the height of his career. In 2017, Weboe revealed he was broke, homeless and battling depression. The cause? A devastating divorce that saw him lose his house, his cars and access to his kids. On top of that, he claimed he had signed financial control over to his wife during his playing days, a decision that left him with nothing when things fell apart. At one point, Weboe said he was sleeping on a friend's floor and hiding from bailiffs. Thankfully, Galatasaray offered him a coaching role to help him get back on his feet. Known for his athleticism, reflexes and the occasional odd high-profile blunder, David James was one of England's most recognisable short stoppers for over 2 decades. He earned 53 caps for England and played over 800 professional games. His Premier League journey took him through Liverpool, Aston Villa, West Ham, Man City and Portsmouth, even lifting the 2008 FA Cup with Pompey. This was the era when he was making around £50,000 a week, and by the time he retired in 2014, he'd made over £20 million. 2 years later, disaster struck. James was declared bankrupt in 2016. Costly divorces, failed business ventures and questionable spending, including a massive collection of cars, designer clothes and artwork, dried up his money. There was a time when over 150 of his items were auctioned off, including signed shirts, DJ equipment and memorabilia. A tragic fact for his fans. But going from England's #1 to financial collapse didn't stop James from bouncing back in the public eye. He's now doing punditry, coaching and even appearing on Strictly Come Dancing. Paul Gascoigne, or just Gaza if you know your football, was a midfield genius with flair. He lit up the pitch for Newcastle, Spurs, Lazio and Rangers, and became a England cult hero during Italia 90, especially with that emotional semi-final moment. Gaza was one of the most naturally gifted players England had ever produced. He made millions across big money moves, endorsements and international stardom. It was chaos off the pitch for him though. Alcohol, mental health struggles and addiction issues plagued him throughout and after his playing days. He blew over £20 million, with expenses ranging from booze and parties to legal troubles and rehab stints. Gascoigne's financial collapse wasn't about one bad investment. It was a steady spiral of self-destruction. In 2016, he admitted he was broke, even though he was once one of the most bankable English players of his generation. There was no official bankruptcy, but the signs were crystal clear. Gaza lost almost everything. Loyal fans never stopped loving him, and he pops up every once in a while to remind us just how special he is. Diego Maradona wasn't just a footballer, he was a force of nature. From that solo goal against England in '86 to lifting the World Cup with Argentina, Maradona's genius was just untouchable. At Napoli, he became a superhero, as he was dragging a mid-table side to 2 Serie A titles, a UEFA Cup, and eternal glory. Scoring record-breaking contracts and global endorsements, he earned tens of millions during his career. It turns out, Maradona's magic had mayhem behind it. He lived loud and generously. It caught up with him. Substance abuse, controversies and run-ins with the media followed him everywhere. The big financial blow came from Italy, where he racked up £33 million tax debts from his Napoli days. By the late 2000s, Italian authorities had seized his assets, including luxury watches and even his earrings during public events. Maradona remained iconic to the end, even with the chaos. He coached in Argentina and Mexico and was never far from the spotlight. When he passed in 2020, he left behind a modest estate. It was far from the fortune his talent had once earned him. Diego gave us football at its most raw and beautiful, but his downfall was just as epic. A legend through and through, both on and off the pitch. Imagine a Ballon d'Or winner with barely £5 to his name. It's an insane tangent, right? Well, for one of football's biggest stars, it's nothing but reality. With only a measly sum left in his wallet, this is about Ronaldinho, the man who saw his assets frozen in Brazil and spent weeks in a Paraguayan jail in 2020 over a fake passport scandal. He was pure poetry in motion on the field. The elastico, the no-look passes and that unforgettable grin. He won fans at PSG, then became the heartbeat of Barcelona's golden era, lifting La Liga twice, the Champions League in 2006, and carrying Brazil to 2002 World Cup glory. Clubs and brands queued up to bank on his flair and lined his pockets with tens of millions. And yet, retirement flipped the script. Debts totting 1.7 million Brazilian real, unpaid environmental fines and ill-fated real estate ventures emptied his accounts. Brazilian courts seized his homes and cars, and legal costs drained what was left. Even guest appearances and sponsorship gigs couldn't stem the tide. His lavish lifestyle, combined with legal troubles, stripped away a fortune most players only dreamed of. He's since made scattered appearances and promotional gigs, but his financial recovery remains unclear. Ronaldinho's fall is just surprising, given how bright this star once burned. Football fans know that these iconic players aren't the ill-intentioned kind. Their post-retirement money problems have never distracted true lovers of the sport from their contributions. The thrill, the excitement and the victory. But still, it's always a good idea to know the ins and outs of such a challenging world. And this especially applies to those of us who want to become legendary ballers themselves.